You have a cortisol belly, and stress is the reason fat is stored around your stomach. You won't shift your belly fat until you fix your hormones. Yeah, I believe that lie too. It's just wrong. But at the same time, it's probably the main reason your belly hasn't moved. My name's Adam. I'm a performance nutritionist. I've helped over 300 men lose stubborn belly fat. I'm going to tell you why the cortisol lie is preventing you from losing belly fat. So I bought adaptogen supplements, delayed caffeine until 3 hours after waking, did red light therapy, saunas 5 days a week, all so my cortisol could drop. I was trying to build a stress-free life. And if you've got a job, kids, and a mortgage, you already know how that goes. It's not a life, it's a fantasy. And the whole time I was doing all of that, I wasn't even looking at the thing that was actually keeping my belly exactly where it was. And the cortisol story comes up often with men who are training hard, eating well, yet completely stuck. Many influencers, well, specifically YouTube influencers, peddle this lie as a solution, largely because it gives you something to blame. And I won't sugarcoat it. Of course, you've tried to exercise and eat less to lose your belly fat, and they know that. So it's the ultimate secret. And it sounds scientific. It keeps it real and lets you off the hook. Now you have a complicated solution that allows a sub industry to be built around a lie to sell that story back to you. But here's my perspective after 22 years of watching what actually works and reading far too many research papers. Cortisol is not the problem. But for this to make sense, you need to understand a bit about cortisol because that will help protect you from the lies. It rises in the morning to get you out of bed and pushes energy into your bloodstream. It rises when you train hard because your muscles need fuel, so it pulls stored carbohydrate and fat to help you do the work. And it rises when you're in a calorie deficit because your body is adapting and trying to access the stored energy to keep you going. So when someone tells you cortisol is too high because you're stressed and training and dieting, they're describing what your body's doing, what it's supposed to do. Now, there is an actual condition where chronically, that being the key word, elevated cortisol causes visceral fat to accumulate. It's called Cushing's syndrome. And it's caused by adrenal tumors producing more cortisol way beyond anything a stressful week or month at work could even create. The research on this is pretty clear and it's been replicated. But that's a disease state and requires a diagnosis. And the people that have it are unwell way beyond just having excess belly fat. But if you're training 4 or 5 times a week and you're eating well and wondering why your gut won't shift, that's not what's happening to you. So, yes, the reason stressed men tend to carry more fat in the middle is real, but not for the reason most people tell you. It's because stress makes consistent, accurate eating nearly impossible. And that's a completely different problem with a completely different solution. So now you know cortisol isn't the issue. Let me tell you about one of my clients, Michael, who was struggling to lose his belly fat. And in my opinion, based on what I've seen, this is the most common reason men struggle to lose belly fat, not cortisol. Michael had been training and eating well for like 8 months when he came to me. He was hitting like 4, sometimes 5 sessions a week, but he was doing it consistently. And like I said, he was paying attention to his nutrition, so he was eating well. He'd even done his bloods and it came back normal. But the doctor mentioned cortisol in passing, and that was enough. Michael now had his answer and he held on to it. But when I looked at his week in detail, the picture was completely different. Monday to Thursday, he was dialed in and even slightly under eating on some days. And his training was hard, focusing on sweating and getting out of breath every session. His watch was telling him he was burning somewhere between 7 and 800 calories a session. Almost every Friday, he'd hit a new low on the scale. He weighed himself every day so he saw it drop. But when the weekend happened, he had a big meal out on Friday night, then a couple of drinks on Saturday, and followed by some food. Then Sunday, he was tired and flat, moving way less, snacking way more, and having a lot less structure overall. By Monday, he was back where he started and sometimes even higher. He'd been repeating this for months, months of committed weekdays being undone by every single weekend. And from the inside, he felt like he was doing everything right because Monday to Thursday he was. And this is maintenance, not an actual deficit. And it's extremely easy to eat another 4,000, even 5,000 calories across 3 days. So easy. Now your weekly calories end up around 18,000 instead of 14,000. But like Michael, you're left confused, looking at YouTube and AI for a different solution. Because in your mind, you were in a calorie deficit most of the week. There was nothing wrong with Michael. He just took his foot off the pedal come Friday night, like most people do. And you may have spotted it, but there was something else making Michael's fat loss even harder than it needs to be. And most men get caught by this. They trust their watch, Oura ring, or Whoop band, whatever device there is. But if you look at the research carefully, along with all the major consumer reviews on wearables in general, you'll notice they all reach the same conclusion. These devices are decent at counting steps. They're reasonable at measuring your heart rate, and they're generally poor at measuring your calorie burn. The error on energy expenditure runs at 20 to 30% or more across all major brands. One large analysis found the error range sitting somewhere between minus 21 and plus 14%, depending on the device and the activity. And none of them hit acceptable accuracy standards consistently. What that means in real terms is when your watch says you burnt 700 calories or even more, you may have actually only burnt 400, maybe even less. And most men are using that number to decide what they can eat next. The hard session earns the bigger dinner. It justifies the extra portion. And not even consciously most of the time, but it does happen. And I see it all the time. My take is simple. Use the watch to track trends in your activity. You definitely don't need one, but you can use it to do that. But don't use it to set your calorie allowance. The only reliable signal you have is whether your weekly average weight is moving down over 2 or even 3 weeks. If it isn't, you're likely not in a deficit, regardless of any devices or whatever a calculator tells you. And now there's one more thing I want you to sit with because it makes people feel uncomfortable. And it's almost like most influencers have completely forgotten what actually drives fat loss. When people track their food, they tend to underestimate what they're eating. This is well documented. Large studies that measure actual energy expenditure against self reported intake find that people typically underreport by around 11% on average. And in people who are overweight and actively trying to lose fat, that number can reach 25 to 30%. And this isn't because they're lying or because they're lazy, but because portion estimation is generally hard, like really hard, especially to begin with. And the weekend is harder to log accurately because you have the bites, the tastes, and the drinks that don't always make it into the diary. Now, add that to the watch era. And some people also rely way too much on AI data. If you're doing this, go with the highest values available. And if you're not sure and you want to be safe, times the value you get by 1.2. And before we worked together, Michael thought he was in a 600 calorie deficit at least 4 days a week. So 1,600 calories going into Friday, a day, that is. But his watch was overestimating his burn. His logging was tight on the days he ate less and looser on the days he ate more. And the weekend was adding 4,000 or more calories back to his weekly budget. So he was actually in maintenance without him fully registering it. So there was no deficit. And he'd been at maintenance for months. And notice The target isn't to fix your hormones, it's to self reflect and look for blind spots. It ultimately comes down to sustaining your hopefully reasonable calorie deficit for long enough. And if you want to know what that is, go and use my free fat loss calculator below once you finish this. It takes 60 seconds. So here's a question I want you to answer honestly. Over the last 30 days, not in your head, but actually, how many full weeks did you track everything? Weekdays and weekends, all the alcohol, handfuls of nuts, and the oil you used, the bite of whatever was on the counter. How many weeks did you look at your weekly average rather than just your best morning? How many weeks did you set your calories based on what your body was actually doing rather than what an app estimated? If the honest answer is one or none, this is your issue. You don't need to look elsewhere. You just need to zoom in and make those adjustments. Of course, it's not as easy as that. So let me give you my three-part system to make it easier. And the first part, you guessed it, is full tracking. Not just your best days, but for 30 days, track everything in an app like MyFitnessPal. Your weekdays, weekends, make estimates on the weekends if you have to. The restaurant meals, again, you can use AI for those. Weigh yourself every morning under the same conditions and look at the 7-day average. Take your waist measurements, take photos, and you will see what's happening. Your average will tell you what's happening. And if nothing's changing over the course of 2 weeks, you're not in a deficit. Now you can adjust from there and stop using your watch to calculate what you've earned to eat. It doesn't know. And the second thing is giving training and diet the right jobs. So many people, even fitness professionals, get this wrong. Your training's job is to build and maintain muscle. Now your diet's job is to create the deficit. When you're trying to flip those and train harder to compensate for not controlling your food, the research is pretty consistent on what happens. People eat more in response to too much exercise, usually even without realizing it, and you end up around maintenance anyway. So I would suggest 3 to 5 lifting sessions a week focused on progress over time and walking on top of it because it adds to your daily calorie burn without driving up hunger in the way that harder cardio can do. Then your diet is built around protein and fiber because that's what makes staying in a deficit far less of a challenge. Now, the third is, I'll wait for it, managing stress, but for the right reason. Not to hack your hormones or just lower your cortisol, but when you're chronically stressed or even a bit, maybe a bit too stressed, not chronically, and you're underslept, hunger is higher. Cravings for calorie dense food is stronger, and your decision making around food on a Friday night is significantly worse. And yes, 7 to 9 hours of sleep, it's a fat loss tool and not some wellness concept. A couple of real stress outlets, whether that's walking, something with your hands, or some genuine downtime. This is about keeping you in a state where the plan is actually more doable when life is hard. Yes, stress is real. You're not going to get rid of stress. And it does make fat loss harder when it's elevated. But it makes it harder by making consistency harder, not by overriding how energy balance works. And you can probably tell, like with everything when it comes to fat loss, the answer is a lot simpler. You want to do everything you can to essentially make it easier to stay consistent. And that's not just to stay consistent, it's to consistently improve over time. And if you get those 3 things right for 8 weeks, you'll soon find out cortisol was never the problem. And if you enjoyed this video, subscribe and watch this one next. I'll see you there.